All right, so episode 5. I guess we'll lead off with we all all the families got together and we went on all the families like a mafia, but we all went on a cruise together.
Yep. I thought it was great. I'm interested to know your honest feedback on the cruise since you didn't want to go.
I fought it very hard initially. It wasn't bad. It was a new experience.
What do you think was probably the worst part?
Man, probably, I don't even know. Probably the stupid shows.
Really?
But, well, so not like the big nightly show like what we went to.
Uh-huh.
Like the intermittent shows, like you walk by the terrible cruise. Like I always thought that like the terrible cruise lounge singer was like a stereotype thing. No, that's legit. Yeah, those people were terrible.
It was bad on that boat. I've been on boats where it's been a little better, but the big shows have been worse. So it's like, I think maybe they save like their true talent for like the big shows at night, and they put like their C and D team in during the day.
That was the D team for sure.
It's always hard to, and I don't know, it's probably going to come off wrong, but I always think it's hard for, like, a lot of the performers on the boat are not American, but yet everything they're performing is American music. And so it's hard sometimes, I think, to get the right, like, nuance to American music when you're not American. So it makes it kind of, because it happened a couple times. It wasn't just the one time with the bad time, but yeah. Some of those like lounge ones, like I think I passed one day and they were doing, I forget what they were singing, but it was kind of like a current song, like a current country song, and they were like Romanian or something, and I was like,
oh, the Romanian couple down there, yeah.
I was like, all right, guys, like, I'd be more entertained if you sang something like in your own language than this.
Well, what was funny is like we sat out there at the little bar where the smoking lounge was. Mm-hmm. We go down there and smoke a cigar or whatever, and hang out down there and listen to the world's worst karaoke. Yeah. But it was so bad, it was hilarious.
Right. And that's the thing about karaoke. It's fun because everybody's terrible.
Like, if the Romanian couple would have took it a little bit further and just been, like, really bad, like, then it would have just been funny. Like, we just turned it into a comedy show.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I mean, I can't imagine trying to perform a different language on a boat in front of people that's their, like, I would never do it. So, like, I'm not saying I could do any better, but
so that was always a goal of mine. I wanted to be an opera singer on a boat because I speak fluent Italian.
Okay, but you don't, so.
But
you don't like boats, you don't like opera, you don't like singing, you don't like Italian, like
I love Italian.
Well, food maybe, but you don't speak it.
They got really good pasta. Have you ever had Chef Boyardee?
God. That pasta on the boat was good. That was a highlight. That
was pretty good, yeah.
The Italian place on the boat was good.
So the other note I have for the cruise is floating Walmart.
Oh, the
people watching there was amazing.
Yeah, and we were on a Carnival cruise, so if anyone's ever cruised, that's pretty much all you have to say is we were on a Carnival cruise, and they'll know. Because that is like the Walmart of cruise ships. I love it. It's the only cruise ship I've ever been on, and I love it. So
it was straight up like just sitting back, like being invisible in a Walmart and just watching people pass by.
Yeah.
Because like there was one day where, I don't know, I guess y'all were mean girling me and like left me out of the group chat. And like nobody knew where I was for half the day, and I just thought everybody was tired of my shit. So I just hung out like up on the Serenity deck or hanging out by myself. And
I need to explain that further. So on the boat, we had you could download an app and you could text like the people on the boat. So we had like a huge group text with everybody that was with us on the boat. And that whole day, everyone's like, where is Michael? Anybody seen Michael? What's Michael doing? I thought he was just being a brat and wanting to be away from us because he does that sometimes. And I was like, I don't know, whatever. If he doesn't want to be around us, that's his deal. And then he comes walking down at like, I don't know, it was like 5 o'clock. I was like, where have you been? He's like, I've been up there all day. Like, nobody came up there. I was like, we've all been asking where you are. Yeah, so apparently he didn't add himself. Not that we didn't add you. You had to add yourself to the group.
I don't think you could add yourself. I had to be added to the group. And nobody thought about me. Everybody forgot that I was even there, and it's okay.
That's not what happened at all. And then after that, once he was added, then he just complained about how much we messaged for the rest of the freaking trip on the group text. But he did get a day of solitary because it
was so nice.
Yeah, I bet it was one of your favorite days.
I just hung out up on top with like all the old people that didn't talk.
Yeah.
The old ladies that were wearing bikinis, they definitely should not have been
I
wearing.
love it though. Like Angie and I were talking about that, how like it's like it's a little bit like shocking at first. Like, oh God, they're in a 2-piece. But then I'm like, good. If they can be in a 2-piece, I can be in a 2-piece. Like, so it kind of, I love it. I mean, it is shocking, but once you get used to it, then it's fine.
The last note, which was probably the highlight for me, was the silent disco. Just because it was absolutely hilarious.
Yeah. Well, multiple reasons why I didn't have fun, but the number one reason I didn't have fun is I don't like wearing headphones. Like, it's very stressful to me. I know he makes me wear them for this. Otherwise, I would not. It's very stressful to me, especially to be in a group of people and not be able to like hear if I'm about to be attacked or like hear if like someone's shooting or like, hear that. And so it's very scary to me. So immediately when I put them on, I was like, oh, I don't like this because I feel like.
Oh, it was the best thing because I put them on and immediately turned the volume off. So I looked like I was blending in with everybody, but I could hear it. It was amazing. It was like an autistic basketball game. Just sneakers squeaking on the floor and just everybody like mumbling and humming to the songs.
Yeah, a couple of times I did pull them off just to like give myself a break.
It was
just
amazing.
Listening to everybody singing like crazy off key. It was pretty fun. And then shout out to those little dancers that we think is in the ship sex ring. Those teenagers that were there that were dancing. They were great. They like danced. We had one of the channels was like playing weird like classical music. And so we had that on, and they did too, obviously, because they were like doing like ballet to it. It was amazing. Everybody else was like twerking.
The interpretive dance troupe.
Yeah.
So go in on this whole like this sex ring conspiracy theory that you have about these cruise kids.
Yeah. So there was this group of like
not kids, sorry,
teenagers.
They
were probably like, I would say maybe like 18 to 22-ish, somewhere in that age range. They could have been over 18. I don't know, but. We actually ended up seeing 4 of them, 2 guys and 2 girls. And they didn't look like they belonged with anyone else. Like we didn't see any parental type figures, but they all had gold cruise cards, which means, I think that means you've done 25 or more cruises. So like, that's a lot of freaking cruises to get a gold card. So that was kind of weird. We were like, and then we thought maybe they worked for maybe we thought they were like employees of the boat. But I think Patrick asked the one kid, the white kid, and they're not. And then he like wouldn't talk about anything and they just left. So.
Oh no, they're on to me and ran away.
And so Patrick was like, I think these kids might be part of some weird like prostitution ring on the boat. And I was like, oh God, maybe so. So then we're like obsessed with them. Then we're like watching everywhere they go and like seeing where they are. And it was just weird.
So
like,
just you guys stalking these 2 kids, and they're probably talking about y'all.
They were like
weird,
thinking we're gonna like kidnap them or something. Like these people are like keeping tabs on us. Yeah, I don't know. It was just, but we're always thinking stuff like that. Like we're always thinking things that are not real. So it probably wasn't real, but I still think it's, how do they get 25 cruises? Where are the parents? Who's paying for these cruises? Like, how do they know each other? Because they acted like they knew each other, but they weren't like friends. I don't know. It was weird.
So while we're on weird conspiracies that came up on the cruise ship, we were having dinner one night, and you looked me straight in the face and started talking about underwater people. Yeah. Please explain.
Like mermaids, but not like in the sense of like Ariel, but like, so there's a lot of theories that if you believe in evolution, that when, whatever. Sorry, I keep hitting this. I know it's getting on your nerves. I'm going to stop hitting it. So whatever species like decided to go to land, that same core one, some of them stayed in the water. Some stayed in the water, some went to land. So that there's this kind of like human type animal in the water. That's all it is. I mean.
So you think that like literally the human species split? And you have,
I think it's possible.
Land humans and water humans.
Yes, I think it's very possible. I mean, I don't know because I've never seen one, but it makes sense.
You seem pretty damn convinced.
Well, because why not? Like, why wouldn't? And the reason I'm so convinced is because there's so many people who have seen them. Like, a lot
Who
of
has
people have
seen them?
seen them. Like a lot of like fishermen, like people who live on the water, who spend like their whole life on the water. They've seen them. And people have been talking about them for ever and ever and ever and ever. Like,
People have been talking about werewolves and vampires for forever.
also believe they existed. So, and giants.
Okay.
So like that's what I mean. Like
giants I might can get on board with.
Giants are in the Bible, just so you know.
Well, you've seen this whole like Minnesota Vikings, or not the Minnesota Giants thing, like the bodies that they unearthed in Minnesota that were like 9 feet tall or something.
But they found a lot of like giant skeletons and stuff like that. Like they found them out west. There's this whole thing about the redheaded giants. I don't know if you've heard about them, but
redheads are mutants anyway. So.
Well, so kind of. So a lot of like ancient alien people talk about redheaded giants being the combination of an alien breeding with a human. And then in the Bible, there's actually a whole thing about these like angels breeding with humans, and it created these kind of like mutant giants that a lot of people think are kind of like the Titans. But yeah, giants for sure, real.
So on this whole like evolutionary pathway, So I've got some thoughts on like ancient technology and stuff like that, like how old humanity actually is. Are you one of the people that believes like we had a super advanced civilization at one point and it just got completely wiped out and we had to start over?
I think that there has been a civilization more advanced than what we are currently in the past. And I don't know. Obviously, I don't know anything. That's just what I think from all the shows I watch on Discovery Channel about ancient aliens. But I do think so, because some of the stuff, like not only the stuff, but how you'll find like the same exact like drawings on one continent and another. So like how were we intercontinental?
I mean, do you believe the whole Pangea thing? Like it all split up?
I do. But I think it's even more so than that, because like even the same type of buildings, like I don't know. I think that the buildings were done after Pangea split. So I think all of our timeline is like millions of years wrong. Like
have you ever read Graham Hancock? Who's like Fingerprints of the Gods, those books. He's like one of the ones that like all the scientists like crap on, because like they don't believe any of his theories about how old humanity is and all that kind of stuff. So I don't know. He's one of those guys that thinks it goes back like way, way far.
I do too. I think it's like, I think we're really, really off on where we think we are, and not just like our existence, but like the world, like our Earth's existence too.
So on that note, is there a possibility that ancient civilization perfected space travel and is already inhabiting other planets?
Possibly. That's something that does kind of make sense. Or I mean, it could be anything that could have caused the like regression, I guess you could call it. I mean, honestly, I don't know if I want to say. I feel like we're kind of regressing now. In a sense. I mean, yeah, you look at like a span of thousands of years, not like in our lifetime we're not going to see regression, but just with just the way like freaking Idiocracy. Did you ever watch it?
I haven't. It's on my list.
Watch that freaking movie. Oh my gosh. Same thing. Like you have kind of some of your brightest minds aren't necessarily reproducing anymore, so you're kind of getting, I don't know how to say this without being...
Well, so kind of along that line, like think about the technological advancements we made between, let's say 1920 to 1970. So that's 50 years, right?
Mm-hmm.
What have been the technological advancements we made between 1970 and 2020? Besides perfecting technology that we had already invented by then,
right.
We haven't really done a whole lot of giant leaps
Mm-mm.
between them. Because you think about the difference between 1920 and 1970, that was huge.
Mm-hmm.
But what we've got now is we're basically doing the same thing. Like everything's getting smaller. Computers were around, but now they're smaller, they're faster.
Yeah,
but we're not making like huge discoveries. I mean, we haven't put anybody on the moon in forever.
Oh, wow.
Like space travel is...
So we haven't put people on the moon because there's already people on the moon, so that's why we can't put people on the moon. But we don't have to talk about that.
So there's people in the water. There's people on the moon. Where else are there people?
The people on the moon are not. They're aliens. They're from another planet, but they're definitely there. And I think the moon is a satellite for another planet. But so they work there. They're like stationed there. They have to work there on the satellite. It's like space station, but.
Are we talking like dark side of the moon type stuff?
I don't know what that means, but I just mean like the people who have been on the moon have said there are other people on the moon. There's a reason we haven't been back because it's already I don't know the word. It's already controlled by someone
inhabited?
Else. Yes.
Okay.
But not like a moon people. They're like oh God, it's gonna sound so crazy. This is why I don't like telling people that I have a podcast because I don't want people to know.
Well, this is the only reason we started this podcast, Mary, is so I can drag this out of you.
Yeah, I really do. I think it's a satellite. I think that another, I don't know. What do you call an alien? Like other than an alien, because it sounds so stupid to call them an alien. Because they're so much more advanced than us. So. But I think that they made the moon. The moon is a satellite for them.
So do you think they came from our solar system, or are they from?
Probably another.
Because here's why I led down this whole path. Like I've been looking into like quantum, like they listen to a lot of Elon Musk talking about how we can travel to different planets and stuff like that, and how we need to be an interplanetary species and whatever. So. The only way that we can get to another solar system, because if right now our only options are we have to inhabit a planet in our own solar system, right?
Mm-hmm.
The only way to inhabit a planet outside of our solar system, I wrote this down, I believe he said it would take 100,000 years at the current fastest speed for us to reach the next star.
Unless you can find a portal. In space and time. Unless you can find like we've talked about before, unless you can find a fold, then you could do it.
Well, and that's what they were talking about, was trying to develop like quantum engines or whatever that would go faster than the speed of light.
I don't know that it's necessarily about
but at the current fastest speed that a person has ever traveled, it would take us 100,000 years.
Right, because we are a million years behind everybody else.
And if you think about the total of human civilization, it is less than 100,000 years.
Right. Yeah.
So think about that on a spaceship trying to get somewhere.
But it's not about going faster. It's about finding the overlap. It's finding the fold. Because then you don't have to go fast. You just have to go through the right spot. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Do you, or are you just saying that?
I'm trying not to laugh at the
Why?
innuendo.
Oh. I was like, why are you laughing?
You never have to go fast. You just got to find the right spot.
That's the truth, though. Like, if you're talking about, like space travel to that, where things are so far that the lifespan won't survive the travel time, then you have to shorten the space and time.
Well, so that's what they were talking about. It was like, it would have to be a generational crew, basically. Like, you would have to have generations of people living on a ship to get to the next place.
But that's so like...
You never watched Orville, right?
Uh-uh.
So they had a whole episode about, there was another planet that basically had to do this, and they launched a spacecraft that basically mimicked the Earth, or their planet, or whatever you want to call it. So now I'm hitting it.
Yeah, see?
It mimicked whatever their planet was. Like, it had artificial sun and land and all that stuff, and they were traveling through space trying to get to the next thing. Well, basically their engine stopped. And so they just went so many generations, like, just living in the spaceship that they thought it was a planet. Mm. Like, they had no idea that they were on a spaceship going to another place because they were on there so long that it just became like a myth or a legend. And I think that's where the flat Earth people are now, is we're actually just on a spaceship trying to make it to the next place.
Maybe. But again, I don't feel like that's the answer to space travel. It's not generational or sustaining some spacecraft for 100,000 years. It's figuring out how to either manipulate space and time, or at least find where those folds are, because they have to exist. I don't know if that's what a black hole is. That's what a lot of people think, but you don't know because once you go in, So I don't know.
And I think that would be the key is getting back.
Right. But depending on how that space and time is manipulated, you may not be able to come back.
Yeah, but how do we know that it's actually working?
You don't. Unless you have enough technology on the other side of that to make it back.
So that would be the problem is like now we're just sending people through black holes. We don't know what's happening to them.
Exactly. Because even if we sent someone, because I'm always like that, why don't they just send someone? We can send them, but we're not going to be able to get information back.
I think they sent one of the, didn't the Russians send a dog or something through a black hole? I don't know.
What is a dog going to do? Speak to us? I mean, even if he could talk to us, what's he going to do?
He might be able to speak when he gets on the other side.
God. I can't. No, but I mean, and I say all this, I'm very interested in all of it, but there's no amount of money you could pay me to go to space. None.
Really?
Absolutely not. I would never go to space. It's the most terrifying thing I could possibly imagine. No, absolutely not. If they said, if you stay here, you're dying. If you go to space, you live. I'm dying on Earth because I'm not going to space. Absolutely not.
Wouldn't it be the same thing as going on a cruise ship? Like you're just stuck out in the middle of the ocean.
No, I can swim in the ocean. What, am I going to swim in space?
Mary, we were in the middle of the Caribbean. You ain't getting nowhere.
I mean, if I had to survive and wait for the Coast Guard, if you get thrown out of if your spaceship blows up in the middle of space, there's no Coast Guard coming. There's no swimming.
We got the Space Force now.
The Space Force is not going to, you'll be dead like that. You'll just shrivel up into a freaking raisin. You'll be dead. I'm not going to space.
I think I would go to space.
I would not. Literally, there's nothing on Earth that would make me go to. The only way I'd go to space is if I had to save my kids' lives, and then I would just know that I was just dying for them. But to me, going to space means death, 100%.
Jeez, really?
I'm not doing it. I watched a weird movie when I was a kid, this space camp movie, and it really stressed me out about space. So
was it Friday the 13th where Jason goes to space?
No, it's called Space Camp.
Space Camp?
Yeah, I don't know if it was a real movie. So my mom had this movie service when we were kids called Feature Films for Families. We were only allowed to watch certain things. But they went through a period where I don't know how to explain it. They've been through a lot of little phases, but one of the phases we can only watch moral movies and
like VeggieTales.
Kind of, but it was pre-VeggieTales because we're older than that.
So this moral movie ruined space for you?
There were a lot of really scary movies. There was one called The Buttercream Gang. It was very scary.
That does sound scary.
It was. It was these kids got abandoned and they were having to fend for themselves. And then there was one called what was that freaking movie? The girl went through time on a zip line from a barn to her house, but when she traveled back in time, it was I don't know, it was the 20s or something, and she wasn't allowed to wear pants to school, and she was getting bullied, and it was this terrifying thing because no one believed her that she had been. So anyways, it was called Feature Films for Families, and we would get a VHS service. They would come in the mail, and we would get one, and then we'd watch it 100 times because we had nothing else to watch. We didn't have cable or anything. So yeah, I wish I could remember the name of that one where she did the zip line. It was a great movie, but it was a little stressful. And she was the whole time she's trying to figure out how to get back. Zip lines? No, but it did kind of open my mind to time travel, which
this is the basis of all of your
Feature Films for Families got me into time travel. Terrified of space.
Did they have a people underwater movie?
No, not that I can remember. Always thinking I'm going to be killed or mugged. The Buttercream Gang. Yeah, I guess it all goes back to that.
I guess that whole moral movie thing really worked out.
I did watch a lot of Free Willy because my little sister was obsessed with Free Willy, and she watched it constantly, all day, every day, from the time she was 3 until she was 7.
That was, I think, my younger stepbrother had a thing for Air Bud.
Oh yeah.
Oh my God, we watched that stupid because it was right after DVDs came out, and we watched that freaking DVD on a loop.
Did you have a movie like that you watched repeatedly as a kid?
I don't think so. I don't know. I never really cared for movies all that much.
Mine was Look Who's Talking.
I hate that movie so much.
I watched Look Who's Talking Seriously, like no exaggeration, I've probably seen that movie 100 times as a kid, and now that I'm an adult, I'm like, that's not really a kid movie. Like,
No.
why was I watching that over and over and over and over and over again? Weird, huh?
You know what? We used to watch. God, what was that guy's name? He did like the songs and skits and stuff. I don't know. My grandmother had all of his movies, and we'd watch those all the time.
Who?
Ray something. I can't remember his name.
I don't know who you're talking
I'll
about.
send it to you. They're really stupid and like super cheesy, but they were like family friendly.
Oh, I'm surprised I didn't watch them. If they were on cable, then we didn't have cable.
It wasn't cable. It was like I don't even know where she found these things.
We got cable later.
Like my grandmother, we were talking about this the other day. Like if we wanted to watch like cartoons or something, like my grandmother had cable. We didn't have cable growing up.
Oh, okay.
Like we had bunny ears and like
Yeah.
they were wrapped in tinfoil that when like you could take it up and like tack it to the ceiling and stuff.
Yeah.
But anytime we were at my grandmother's house, like I was glued to the TV because they had Nickelodeon and Cartoon Network and.
We got cable later. Like I want to say probably when I was like middle school, we got cable. But prior to that, my best friend, she always had cable, and I was over there all the time, anyways. But I remember in middle school, I wanted to watch Dawson's Creek, and I wasn't allowed to watch Dawson's Creek.
Too slutty.
Yeah. And I feel like I missed out a lot because like everybody my age watched it. And so everybody my age like makes references to this show that I was never allowed to watch. I felt very much like an outcast because I wasn't allowed to watch Dawson's Creek. So not enough to where I've rewatched it as an adult because I really don't care. But
I was going to say you haven't like gone back and see what you missed.
I feel like I missed the wave, you know, like
yeah, probably.
I would have had to watch it as like a 13-year-old to be into it.
I don't think it holds up. Angie probably disagrees with me.
I never thought that dude was hot. The one that's got like 1,000 kids now. The main guy.
Dawson?
Yeah.
James Vanderbeek.
I think he's got like 7 kids or something.
Really?
Yeah. And they're all like blonde headed. Like it's weird. I saw a thing online about it, but the other one was kind of hot. I don't know.
The one that went did a Fringe. Did you ever watch Fringe? You and all your conspiracy stuff, you never watched Fringe?
Mm-mm.
Dude, Fringe was like the ultimate conspiracy theory TV show.
When did it come out? I probably wasn't allowed to watch it.
No, it was like, what, 2010, 2012, something like that?
Okay. No, I was having babies then. I didn't watch anything. We watched Everybody Loves Raymond at night. That was like all we ever got to watch.
Honestly, I think Fringe still holds up. Like
Really?
you could probably go back and watch it. I think it's like on like HBO Max or maybe Netflix or something. But Fringe holds up.
Yeah, I'll do that.
It's like all this stuff that you're talking about,
Mm-hmm.
they did it all on Fringe.
Really?
It would be like your Mythbusters.
Maybe I'll check it out. I don't know.
But yeah, like Fringe, it was like, you know, Harvard professor that interdimensional, all this other stuff. Like they ended up like fighting 2 dimensions together.
That does sound right up my alley.
Yeah, it was like conspiracy theory, crime, drama. It was great. Yeah, literally right up.
Like, yeah, I've never even heard of it.
This is where I feel like you get, like, maybe it's on at night and you don't even realize it, and it's just osmosising all this into your head.
No, I get a lot of this from, I don't know, like, I like to say I watch a lot of Ancient Aliens. Like, that gives me a lot of stuff. And then,
see, I don't watch most of that stuff because I hate the way
that guy.
Well, it's not that guy. It's all of those History Channel and Discovery shows. They all start and end the same way. Did Hitler actually move to Venezuela? And then at the end of it, it's, well, nobody really knows. Maybe he did. Maybe he didn't. There's no answers.
Yeah, but I think that's the whole thing. You have to kind of figure it out for yourself or decide whether you believe it or not. Because, like...
I went through an hour of watching this stupid show and they didn't tell me.
Hitler definitely went to Argentina, just so you know. But, wait, is it Argentina or...
Yeah, Argentina's the one where all the Nazis went.
Yeah, for sure.
Because I think they were, like, still finding them up until a couple of years ago, like Nazis down in Argentina and stuff.
There's a great show on Netflix. Is it Netflix? I think it's on Netflix called Hunters.
Yeah.
That's a really, really good show. But how far off topic are we?
We're not that far.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I don't know.
Definitely nowhere on my list.
I was going to say, you want to hit one of yours real quick?
Mine are going to be a pretty sharp turn, I think. Let's see.
Maybe. I just like watching you try to put your thing in down here.
With my thumb. I don't know if we want to talk about Epstein and Cosby. We can if you want to. What
Like, that one's been on your list for a while.
Yeah.
All right, let's do it. Please, go ahead.
Here's my thing.
You don't think they're that bad?
I don't. And no. It's actually not that. It's not that I don't think. Well, first of all, let's just talk about Epstein because I don't want to get into Cosby.
You want to split
let's just talk about Epstein because do I think he's a bad person? Yeah. Do I think he's a slummy guy? Yeah. But there's a lot of slummy guys. What bothers me about Epstein is the girls that were involved. One, they were like, the original girls were like 15, 16. Okay, 16 because they were driving themselves to his house. So I don't understand how we, as a general public, as the law or whatever, will say that a 16-year-old can understand right and wrong. What's wrong?
Nothing. I was looking to make sure it's still recording. I don't want to miss any of this.
We say at 16, this girl is capable of understanding right and wrong enough to drive a car. If she hits and kills someone inside a car, she is responsible for that accident. She's going to have consequences. If she decides to drink and drive, she's going to be, held accountable for that choice. But if that same 16-year-old drives to a grown man's house and does whatever she does multiple times on her own, by her own choice, she's exempt from all accountability for her participation in that because she's under the age of 18 and because what she's doing there is of a sexual nature. So I don't like how we split, especially for girls, and this is where everyone's going to hate me, but especially for girls, when they're under the age of 18, we act like they're not accountable or responsible for any choice as if it relates to a sexual conduct. But any choice that is non-sexual, they're treated like they're, reasonable and responsible enough to be treated as an adult. And it makes no sense to me.
So I don't disagree with you there. I think that it's a cop-out for girls, or it's society treating them like they're not capable of making their own decisions. But I don't think that the initial contact is what the whole issue with Epstein was. I think it was more the trafficking people to the island. And
exactly. But who was the main one recruiting girls?
Oh, it was Ghislaine Maxwell.
Well, and the 16-year-old girls that were the original ones.
Yeah.
They are just as responsible, if not more so, than he is. Is he a creep and a disgusting guy? Yeah. But again, a lot of men are. Like, he is no exception. He is not like this one in a million. There's a lot of guys like that out there. They can only be successful in what they do if all these other people around them are complicit and help them be disgusting.
Well, so I think that's where everybody says Epstein this and Epstein that. Like, I think Epstein was more of a useful idiot. Like, yes. I think all of this was a CIA thing. Like, all of it, 100%. But I think if you really look into Ghislaine Maxwell, she's got a lot more ties to that community than Epstein himself. He was just like the dum-dum at the top that they used he was the scapegoat, right?
He was always planned to be that guy because it's a lot easier to get everybody to hate on this gross
And there's a reason Ghislaine is still alive, right? And he is not.
But, and even aside from, like, we all know he didn't kill himself. We all know he was murdered. Like, okay, we get that. And we all know that she's a horrible person. But what bothers me is these girls that are just, not only are they calling themselves victims, which in a sense they are victims, but not really, because one, you continue to go back over and over and over again. You got other people into this, your own friends. Like, nobody ever said anything. No one ever tried to stop it. Some girls did, like the ones that, I don't know if you watched the thing, but like the girls that went to like the horse farm thing, and they were like, hello, this is weird. Like this, they tried, and everyone's just like, no, don't listen to them. Everybody has to do that. Everybody has to say, hello, this is weird. Like, we can't keep doing this. Like, I just watched the freaking Jared from Subway thing, and it's the same thing. He was only able to be a successful pedophile because all these people around him who don't call themselves pedophiles enabled that behavior. So if you're part of the problem, if you're a 16-year-old girl and you're repeatedly driving to a man's house to do sexual favors, I'm sorry, hon, but you're part of the problem. Stop doing it.
So you haven't looked into the Andrew Tate thing at all. I keep bringing up Andrew Tate, and you refuse.
I still
to
don't
look
even know
into
who he is. I'm sorry.
Okay. So if for no other reason, don't look into any of the misogyny, all this other crap. Look into why he's in jail right now.
I do know about that a little bit, only because my kids told me.
So these two girls that made a ton of money working for him, like, okay, let's say what he did was a slimeball business to be in. Okay, he basically ran an OnlyFans farm. Like, he had webcams set up, girls could go in and do their webcam thing for OnlyFans, whatever. They came there under their own volition. Nobody made them turn the cameras on. Nobody made them do whatever they did on camera. They were able to come and go as they please. They have video of these girls leaving the compound and coming back, getting an Uber, the security guard helping them with their bags and stuff. Like, all of these things, they have video of. And these two guys are still in jail because believe all women.
Yeah.
So they're saying that these two women had no accountability for their actions at all.
Yeah.
Like, I think it's a detriment to women. Like, it's Women's History Month, guys. Let's talk about it.
Not only is it a detriment to women, but again, because you are volunteering to perpetuate this cycle of whether it's pedophilia or, sexual abuse or whatever it is, there are people who don't have a choice, who are now, because it's powerful, he's powerful enough, say the pedophile, the bad guy, the villain, whatever, he's powerful enough now to where he can actually get the ones who don't have a choice. And now that's how you get into like 6-year-olds, 7-year-olds who don't have a choice, don't have any freaking clue what's going on, because those middle people, they're the reason that pedophile is successful. And that's my problem with Epstein, is because I think it's the classic, you can see it, you can see the higher ups that are in the clouds that are never going to be held accountable, all the people that used his services to get girls or whatever. Then you're going to see him. He's the bad guy. He's the villain. He's whatever. He's the pedophile. Okay. Then there's his, whatever she was, girlfriend. What do they call her? Partner?
Jolene, I don't know.
Whatever. I'm sure someone's going to say she's a victim too because she was a woman and she was in love with him or whatever. I
don't think anybody's saying she's a victim.
Maybe not anymore, but I'm sure in the beginning. But there's this middle group of the volunteers, of the ones who helped him build this successful organization of sex trafficking and sexual abuse and all that. And then the true victims are the ones down here that literally didn't know what was going on, didn't have any choice in anything. So I'm so sick of that middle group being not held accountable, because if every one of those girls, even with your thing, I don't even know anything about that, but if they wouldn't have done that, how would he have been successful in this? Like, you're literally building up pedophiles and then calling yourself a victim. Like, stop. No, stop doing it. Stop helping a pedophile be a pedophile. I don't know. It's very frustrating to me.
I like that you get all fired up.
Because it's annoying, because you're never going to see the real victims.
Yeah.
You're not. You're never going to see the real victims, and you're never going to see the extent of all the villains.
Well, so think about this right now. Ghislaine Maxwell is in prison right now for trafficking, for sex trafficking, right? Mm-hmm. Who did she sex traffic to? They won't reveal the names. That's
what I'm saying. You're never going to see all the villains either. You're going to see one. That's what I'm saying.
So how can she be in prison for sex trafficking if there's no proof of who she sex trafficked to?
Well, they'll probably just say it was him. They'll probably say it was Epstein because he's dead. So then that's easy peasy. Like,
I want Bill Clinton behind bars before he dies.
Oh no.
He's the one you have a soft spot for?
I don't have a soft spot. I just feel like he's so dopey and dumb. I don't know. Just it's almost like putting a special needs person in jail. It's like, he's just
okay. So my theory with the Clintons is just like Ghislaine and Epstein. He's the dumb at the top, and Hillary's been pulling the strings the whole time.
Right, but I'm not trying to get us killed. We're on a public platform here. I'm not going to talk about.
Come at me, bro.
Don't come at me. Only come at him.
Pull up, Bill.
No, Bill is not the problem.
Hey, shit! Pull up, Hillary.
It's his crazy wife. No, I don't want any smoke from the Clintons. Please, no.
You don't want that smoke?
I do not want that smoke.
Come at me.
Oh God, but no, I mean, but yeah, they're always only gonna, even with the Jared thing, everyone knows him, so they're like, oh, he's a pedophile. Yeah, he is. It's gross. He's in prison. That's great. Do you know how many people around him facilitated that you're not hearing their names, that they're not serving time? it's easy to pinpoint one, but I promise no single pedophile is ever successful alone. Ever. They cannot be successful by themselves. If there's a single pedophile, they're molesting the kids close to them and then they end up in prison fairly quickly. If they're running some successful, huge, big operation, there's a whole lot of people supporting that.
Yeah. All right. So we took a little break so you could calm down after the Epstein thing.
Get me all mad about pedophiles.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think most people would be pretty angry about pedophiles.
Not just a pedophile, the whole group.
So I think it's pretty pertinent going down your conspiracy theory alley that we discuss train derailments.
Yeah.
So the big one that everybody's talking about is East Palestine, Ohio, which is probably the worst one. But since then, like, it's been almost every day there's been more train derailments.
So I didn't really know. I mean, I'd heard about that one. And like, I love TikTok. So I'm on TikTok a lot. So I've seen a lot of that kind of stuff. But because you brought it up, I kind of dug down into, there's a girl in there that I really, really like. She does a lot of like you're never going to hear it on the news type stuff. So I really like her. But she was talking about this, and she was talking about not only the ones since then, but the ones before this one. And what she was saying that a lot of people think is that the goal is to get these toxic chemicals into the farmland so that we won't be able to grow any kind of food.
Well, I mean, so that was right before we went on the cruise. Like, that whole thing, like, was breaking. And that was my big thing was, like, they were saying that it had already gotten into the groundwater and was moving down the Ohio River Valley. And it could go, I mean, they were already detecting vinyl chloride in the water in West Virginia. So, I mean, it was moving quick.
So here's my thing, because I'm really ignorant to all of this. One, I'm ignorant to the chemicals. Two, I'm ignorant to what's actually happening because I don't watch any news at all. So therefore, I don't know anything.
So vinyl chloride, just so you know, is an ingredient for polyvinyl chloride, which is PVC, which is plastic.
Okay.
But vinyl chloride on its own is extraordinarily hazardous. It is like listed up there as like one of the most hazardous chemicals.
Hazardous for ingestion, hazardous in
touch, breathe,
okay.
smell, all of it. Okay. Stay the hell away from vinyl chloride.
So will it kill you or will it give you like a lifelong disease?
I'm not 100% sure. Where it gets dangerous is when it leaches into water. It then becomes, when it burns, the vapors can leach to water and turn into hydrochloric acid.
Oh.
So the vinyl chloride, once it burns off the vinyl portion. It attaches itself to water molecules, or the hydrogen in the water molecules, so it becomes hydrochloric.
Okay.
So that's where they were talking about weird rain and everything else up there. Like it was basically acid rain because the government went in and burned the train after it derailed to get rid of the vinyl chloride that was leaching into the groundwater. So they're like, okay, well, instead of it just being in the water, we're going to put it in the air too.
So this girl was talking about that the what's the rail?
Norfolk Southern.
Norfolk Southern is mainly owned by these two groups. It was like Vanguard and
BlackRock.
BlackRock, yeah.
Yep. Which basically own almost everything.
You
start diving into those.
Because she was saying that up there, LabCorp will not test for.
Correct. LabCorp won't do individual testing for it.
And LabCorp's two primary shareholders are Vanguard and BlackRock. So, okay, like I know these are like, again, that I don't understand a lot about like money or anything like that. I need to know. So, okay, these are companies.
Yes. So these are they are beyond company. They are a conglomeration of companies.
But who is the person? Because there's got to be a human. Who is the person? And I swear if you tell me it's that crazy Nazi guy that's like destroying everything.
Oh, Klaus Schwab?
No, the old guy.
Klaus Schwab's old.
No.
Klaus Schwab's like the World Economic Forum guy. Or are you talking about
he was like an undercover Nazi and he like killed all these Jews and like he owns like everything. Oh my gosh. But he's actually Jewish, but
I know who you're talking about. Oh, God, I can't think of his name.
If he owns those, then I'm gonna lose it. Like,
so I don't know that any one person owns those now. They're not like It's not like Coke, like the Koch brothers own Coke, Koch. So it's not like those where it's owned by a family.
But there's humans making
There's a board.
decisions
Yeah.
for these companies.
Yeah.
I want to know who those humans are.
I haven't dug that deep.
Do you think it's possible to find out though?
Oh yeah, that's so it's public record because they're publicly traded companies.
Oh, okay.
So, but yeah, it's public record who owns these places. But if you start looking into who BlackRock owns, I think that's even more interesting because you're talking about almost everything.
Yeah.
They've got a piece of almost everything. So if you want to go down this train derailment piece, a week before the train derailment in East Palestine, Ohio, Netflix put out a movie called White Noise. About what? A train derailment in Ohio full of volatile chemicals which locked down a town.
Okay.
Literally a week before this happened.
So what, in the movie, what's the outcome?
I don't know. I haven't watched it yet.
Okay. We need to watch it. 'Cause then we'll
I
know
probably
the future.
should. I don't think it's like The Simpsons where they're just predicting everything. But so this whole Netflix thing, like, all right, so Luke Belmar is a YouTuber. He's a millionaire young guy that goes, and now he's made his money, so now he's going around and like making YouTube videos. Well, one of the things he did was he was like, okay, we're going to East Palestine. So he took his own money, bought hazmat suits, went up to East Palestine. He's taking like samples and checking, getting independent laboratories to do sample testing and stuff. Well, he brought up the fact that, I don't know if you know who, let's see, one of the founders of Netflix, Mark Bernays Randolph. You ever heard of him?
You already know. I don't know who that is.
Okay, good.
I don't know who anyone is.
He is the great nephew of Edward Bernays, who is on his tombstone, I believe it's said the father of public relations, but everybody calls him the father of propaganda. He's literally the guy that founded the ad for selling cigarettes to women as a sign of feminism. Like literally, if you go down this dude's rabbit hole, it is messed up. Literally, the Nazis were using his books on propaganda to railroad the Jews. Like it was
Okay.
This dude was like in it, right? He actually helped the CIA overthrow the government in Guatemala through the United Fruit Company. It's a whole thing, but just the fact that Netflix is tied back to the Bernays family, which goes back to this guy, and Netflix is obviously putting it out.
Mm-hmm.
It just leads me to believe that this is not an accident. These are not accidents.
Yeah.
And the fact that, oh, well, magically now the government is telling us about UFOs the same week that all these train derailments start happening.
What did I tell you about UFOs? When you looked at me crazy sitting at my freaking dining room table, I warned you guys because I wanted you to know, and I knew you were going to think I was crazy, but you need to know.
What did you tell me about UFOs?
The government, not even our government, but like the like the deeper.
The deep state?
The deep state, like the ones that control
government.
Everything.
Yeah.
They're going to stage an alien attack on the world, and it is not going to be aliens. It will not be aliens. Aliens have no need to attack us.
Oh, no, I agree with that 100%.
Like, literally no reason. So if you see aliens attacking, I promise you, it's just regular people who are trying to get you to be under their control. It is not aliens. And it's going to happen, I think, fairly soon.
And it's just like super weird. Like all of this stuff like just started bam, 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 bam. Train derailments. And like on top of this, the food factory fires continue. Like the largest egg plant in the USA like burned that same week or something like that. Like it's...
So here's my thing though, because me and my husband have talked about this some, because I don't understand what the point is. Are they trying to kill people? Like, are they trying to get the population down?
They're trying to reduce the population.
Okay. Is that... See, because I think that's what COVID was. I think it was an attempt, but they greatly underestimated the human body's immunity and immune response. So it didn't work. But
Well, I think that's what the vaccines were.
yeah.
We're going to get flagged for vaccine craziness, but...
Yeah, I can't really speak on the vaccine, but because I just can't. But yeah, I do think that's what COVID was an attempt to try to wipe out at least the frail, the old, the sick, try to wipe out the frail. But I don't understand this whole, like, are you going to try to starve us to death? Like, what's the goal here? Or just eliminate the foods that we kill each other? Like, what's...
So here's the thing. The easiest way to control a populace is to control the food.
Right.
If you control the food, people will do anything to survive.
But don't they understand?
And so by controlling the food production and then polluting the groundwater and the soil, you now give people no way to produce their own food. They've regulated people from being able to, if I had a cow, I can't sell you raw milk. It's illegal for me to sell you raw milk. Like, they've regulated food to the point where you have to get it from government-approved sources.
But again, they're underestimating, especially Americans. I don't know. I can't speak for anybody else, but like...
Well, so that's the problem. That's why everybody is attacking America's freedoms right now, is because Canada, can you imagine Canadians? Like, they're just going to do whatever the hell their stupid government tells them to.
We're never going to do that. No. And we're all armed. So I'm going straight to the richest person's house in my neighborhood and killing them and taking everything they have. So the more wealthy you are...
You hear that, Barbara?
I'm just saying, these like gazillionaires that are making all these choices, like, we're going to be like literally eating you. So like, I don't understand what you guys think is going to happen.
So,
like,
have you ever watched Alex Jones? Do you know who Alex Jones is? Mm-hmm. So he's super crazy right-wing conspiracy theorist. Like, he's banned on YouTube. He did the whole, like, Sandy Hook never happened. They're making the frogs gay. All this other crap.
Okay.
Yeah. So it was back during COVID, and it was something like they were starting to shut down some of the food stores and stuff like this. And he was talking about, if it gets to the point, I'll string my neighbor up. I'll carve him up with the chainsaw. I'll eat his ass.
That's what I'm saying. Like, if it gets to that point, there's more of us than there are of you guys. So I promise you, you're going to be the ones getting drug out of your house and, sold for meat.
Well, so and that's where they go to wanting to disarm the populace. Which,
again, okay, what happened when they outlawed alcohol?
Oh, yeah.
It's not going to work. You're not going to take
There's already
guns.
3D printed guns.
Like,
you can 3D print an entire
like gun. It's not going to happen. I've talked about this before with other people. The American spirit is not patriotism, which is what a lot of people think it is. The American spirit is like individualism. Like, we are not, and it goes way back. Our parents had that mentality. Our grandparents, our great-grandparents, like, it goes all the way back, because if you survived here, like, if your family came here, who knows when, and you survived, like, that, there is something deep in you that you're going to keep surviving. Now, some are not. We know that. Especially...
And that's okay. Maybe they don't need to.
Right. Then we'll eat them first before we go for the rich people. But But I'm just saying,
started out on such a positive note.
I know, right? My stomach is growling. You can probably hear it on your thing.
Well, I didn't until you pressed on it.
Sorry. But yeah, it's never gonna work. You're always underestimating the general public. The general public will kill you, like, and will band together to come after
those that are oppressing.
Exactly.
And that's the problem, is they're producing all of this fake oppression to make people think that what they're experiencing right now is real oppression, while they actually start the real oppression on the backside, right? So the government is manufacturing all of this fake hate between everybody, like all the crap that we see on the news. When we walk down the street or we go to Walmart, the cruise ship, perfect example. Every nationality, every color, gay, straight, doesn't matter. Everybody was on that boat. Mm-hmm. I didn't see a single person fighting. I didn't see anybody mad at each other. I mean, hell, a guy like passed out at the damn comedy show one night, and everybody turned the lights on and run over and try to help the dude. Like nobody cared. The media is the one that's trying to do all this.
That's the thing is, I feel like there's such a small percentage of people who believe it. So like they really think that we're that stupid.
I don't know that it's that small of a percentage.
I do. I mean, because think about you. I mean, just like that, the cruise ship. What you saw, like anytime you're out and about, nobody's believing this stuff. Nobody is, and if they are, I promise you, they're going to be the first ones killed during all of this. Because the minute they want to help the bad guy, we're going to kill him. So like, that's it. Like we're always going to be more powerful as a general group. So I don't understand why these people are still trying to control us. You're not going to take the guns. You're not. You can come to every single person's house and search their house. You're not going to find them.
Yeah, that's the big joke in the 2A community is, you know, oh, there's going to be a lot of boating accidents. Oh, man, we lost all our guns in the bottom of the lake.
Right.
I don't know what happened.
Like, you know, and I mean, if they really believe that the majority of Americans own only registered weapons, sure they do. Come collect them. We'll hand them over to you. We're not that stupid. Like, we're not that stupid, right?
Man, we got like fired up Mary today. I like this.
It's because I went to two church services today, yeah, so I'm really
two church services equals based fired up Mary. I like it.
I just don't get it. I don't know. I'm just so sick of whoever these people are, these elite people, thinking that we're this stupid. We're not. But let them think it. Sure.
Well, so, okay. and that's the thing, too, is like, that's why I basically stopped consuming almost all mainstream media. Like, I don't listen to the news. I get my news from independent sources on YouTube and I don't listen to just people that are on the right or just people that are on the left.
Me neither.
I listen to everybody because I don't trust anybody.
Exactly. Well, I don't listen to any news. I haven't watched news in a decade.
That's why you haven't even heard of Andrew Tate.
No, that's what I'm saying. I don't know anything about anything.
Literally the most Googled person in all of 2022.
I don't watch YouTube. I don't watch anything. The only thing I watch is TikTok. And even then, like if I start to feel like it's being like pushed a certain way, I'm like, nope, and I completely go. Like, and anybody that has a blue check, if they start talking about like anything, I'm like, nope, I need somebody that's got like two views. Then I'm like, oh, what are they saying? Like, that's how I do it. Because once you're verified or you're making money off of it, you're discredited completely. Yeah. That's how I feel about it.
Money corrupts.
Exactly.
And you will do whatever, once you start getting monetized, you will do whatever it takes to keep getting more and more.
Yep. So yeah, that's where I get, which I have very limited information. Obviously, I don't know much about anything, but the little bit that I know is either from talking.
I'm not going to let you get away with playing stupid all the time.
Talking to people in real life, because I do see a lot of people, and I talk to people from a lot of different backgrounds in my job. Talking to human beings face to face, or very few people that I watch on TikTok and believe, or at least listen to what they have to say. Mainly people that are in the areas that like this Ohio stuff. I'm watching people who live in, and they're like showing videos of stuff. And she's like, literally, she's like in her house, and like all these people are in like hazmat suits, and she's like, should I be in? And the guy's like, no, you're fine. And she's like, but they're in hazmat suits, and they're like 50 yards away from me.
Was this the lady that? Because I was watching one lady that her house was literally like 900 feet from the derailment site.
Maybe, because this lady was like videoing from her house.
And she said there used to be woods between her and the site, but the government came in and like burned all the woods and all that stuff. And like, they're not even putting topsoil back. They're just like churning over the dirt and putting grass back on top of it. Like, they're not even pulling out the contaminated ground. It's crazy what they're doing up there. I don't understand why there's not more coverage of it.
I mean, but you do understand why there's not more coverage of it.
Yeah.
Like, you know why. I don't know. I just don't know what the end goal is. I guess it's just to control population, but.
Well, and that's the biggest thing is like, so you listen to somebody like, so I'll play Elon Musk fanboy for a minute, but like, Elon has a completely different view from Bill Gates, right? Like, he actually actively makes fun of Bill Gates because. Right. Bill Gates and all these other people are saying, there's a population problem, that the world population is spiraling out of control and we're getting too many people and blah, blah, blah. Elon's on the other side of it. He's like, we have a population problem, but it's because there's not enough people being born. Like, we're at like a 1-to-1 right now. We need to be, for every one death, there's one birth.
Mm-hmm.
The population's not growing anymore.
Well,
and in Japan, they have an active decline. There are more elderly people in Japan than there are babies being born every day.
Well, and if you think about it, and this kind of, I'm not going to talk about my book, but it kind of starts to get into my book. But how many people do you know just in the last, let's say the last 5 years, personally, that have had infertility problems?
Not many, because I don't know that many people.
Well, that's true. Well, I know a lot, because in the last 5 years, a lot of people I know are trying to have children.
Even fewer people that I talk to about their
I can't see you being like,
problems.
oh, you guys trying for kids?
Hey, how's your badge working?
So, but for me, because of my age, and in the last 5 years, most people I know have been trying to have babies. The majority of them have had fertility problems. And because of that, obviously, there's going to be a decline in births. Because, and I'm not going to say it, I think that was intentional. I think it's for birth control. I'm not going to get on the birth control topic again.
So, finish your statement, but it goes right down to one of my other topics that I've got on here.
I think it's very intentional. I think it started back in probably the 80s with birth control. I think it was meant to mess up women so we can't ovulate, so they can't have kids, so that they knew that my generation, our generation, was not going to be able to reproduce at the rate that the previous generation did.
So, on this whole, like, you know, I agree with you 100%. Birth control is, anytime you're messing with hormones, it's...
Yeah.
I've been going down this stupid rabbit hole spiral about BPAs and plastics and microplastics and all this other stuff. Like, I mean, I told you, a year or better ago about salt. Like, if you test normal table salt, it's... a percentage of it is plastic because they're getting it from the ocean.
Right.
And we've been dumping plastic in the ocean for decades. Plastics that we used to dump in the ocean had BPAs in them. So BPAs are a hormonal disruptor. Like, it's terrible for you. So the only salt that I eat is Redmond's Real Salt, which is from a salt bed in Arizona, I think.
Mm-hmm.
But it's an ancient salt lake that dried up, like, before people were dumb enough to put plastic in it.
Right.
But, like, I've been going down this line, like, there's fluoride in the tap water, like, but, okay, so don't drink tap water. Well, almost all bottled water is just bottled tap water. Well, then you go to, like, reverse osmosis water, like smart water, but there's no minerals in it, so it's actually leaching minerals out of your bones, and so then you go, okay, well, do I drink, like, water out of a glass bottle? Well, that's really expensive, and you can't really recycle it, so it's not really accessible for the normal person. So the normal person just drinks water out of a bottle with plastic, and which is terrible for you. There's phthalates in the normal plastic bottles, and, like, we can't get away from hormonal disruptors in our normal lives. Seed oils, like, we switched a long time ago to only using olive oil when we cook.
I've always used olive oil. What else do you... oh, God. What else is there? I mean, there's vegetable oil,
well, so there's vegetable oil, canola oil, sunflower oil, all these, avocado oil. It's all seed oils. So it's terrible for you, right? Well, now I want you to start looking up real olive oil. So apparently there's a lot of brands out there that brand it as olive oil, but it's a percentage of olive oil and it's filled with seed oils. Like, they went through and actually tested these brands, and there's only a few of them, and they're really expensive, that are pure olive oil. So while we're sitting here trying to be healthy and trying to do the right thing, we're getting screwed by the stupid food companies that are putting shit in our food and not telling us about it. Like,
I don't try to
canned foods. Like, how much canned foods do y'all eat?
A lot.
A lot. So we used to eat a lot. Now we switched to a lot of frozen vegetables, which are better, fresher, whatever. Well, the canned foods, the lining in the damn cans had BPAs in it. So all the shit that we grew up eating before they found out about BPAs and phthalates, that's another aggravator to this whole infertility issue that our generation is having.
Yeah. Yeah, I could see that. I mean, I just think it was all intentional. I think...
oh, well...
especially with the birth control, because, like, I mean... like,
well, so
my mom...
that's the thing, though, is, like, they knew about it, but they didn't tell you.
Right.
And that's like this Edward Bernays guy. He knew that cigarettes cause cancer. He saw the studies and promoted them to women. He wouldn't let his wife smoke.
Yeah.
Every time he found cigarettes in the house, he would break them But he was actively promoting it to every other woman, even
It's
pregnant
money.
women.
It's money. And like you said, they'll do anything for money. Anybody will do anything for money. Except for me, because I don't understand money and I don't care about it. But yeah, I don't. But the birth control, though, I think, like my mom, I asked her, I was like, when you were in high school, did any of your friends, were any of y'all on birth control? Absolutely not. That would have been like the most foreign concept to have.
Now find a teenage girl that's not.
Exactly. And now, I am not promoting teenage pregnancy, but birth control, I mean, they just put it in these girls immediately, like all the time. So all of the girls I grew up with have been on birth control. I have never been on birth control because I had kids super young, and my mom wouldn't let me get birth control when I was in high school because she thought it would make me have more sex. So it's a great theory. But anyways, so I've never been on birth control, thank God, and so I didn't have any problems having my kids. But everybody, all of my friends that were on birth control all throughout high school, every single one of them has had trouble having kids. One of them can't have children at all. And I cannot say that I don't think it's related, because I do, and I think it's intentional.
Yeah. And the fact of the matter is that there have been no long-term studies on it because it doesn't pay to know. Like, there's no reason, there's no financial incentive for these companies to do a long-term study to find out how harmful it is.
Right. No.
They only want to do long-term studies to find out how effective it is.
Right.
So they can promote effectiveness, but not.
Yeah, they can promote effectiveness by saying, "Oh, half of you are going to be infertile, never going to have kids. We did a great job there." It's crazy.
I think there's also a mindset switch too. Like, a lot of young people don't want to have kids. Like, especially women. I think it's been marketed to women that your job should come before your family. And I don't know. Again, I'm not a woman. Obviously, I have this beautiful beard, but of course, I've seen some women with beards.
I was gonna say that doesn't make you not. But okay.
But like, I don't understand, like, how, like, if I had the option to create a human life or have a career, I would obviously choose to create a human life. I think that's probably one of the most important functions that humans serve on this planet, is propagating our species.
See, I never wanted kids, so I definitely never had that mentality. Growing up, all I ever wanted was to work and to do something amazing. Like, I saw myself doing something amazing. I wanted to be like a plastic surgeon that worked on like burn victims. Like, I had these like really elaborate dreams. And when I got pregnant, the very first thought was not, "Oh, I got to get rid of this kid." The very first thought was like, "Ooh, I'm not going to be able to be a surgeon because that's going to be way too much school, and now I'm going to have this kid." So my whole career path had to change once I got pregnant, because I had never factored in. So there is a choice that has to be made for women, probably a little bit more so than men in that aspect. I'm not saying you can't have kids and be a surgeon. You definitely can, but your timeline does get altered a little bit more as the woman, because you have to go through the pregnancy, go through the recovery, and if you're nursing, that kind of, it just stretches your timeline out. So you do have to make some choices. But I also think that a lot of us, our generation, it was kind of like looked down upon if you just wanted to like get married and have kids. Then you were looked at kind of like dumb and like,
yeah.
Well,
no, I mean, I get that. Like, oh, you just want to be a mom, or you just want to be a traditional housewife.
Right. And I'm guilty of it, because like when people, even now, I mean, I have 3 kids. I've always worked. When I meet people that don't, I'm like, what are you doing? It's like, but it's because that's been kind of put into me my whole life, that like, that's not an acceptable choice. Oh God. Sorry. I gotta keep my hands out here.
You keep those tiny things from flying around.
It's not an acceptable choice to just say, "Oh, I just want to be a mom." Like, to me, growing up, I was like, "Oh, loser." But really, it's like, that's not fair, because if that's what you want to do and that's what you want your role to be. So we definitely were, for me anyways, I felt very much like that was a cop-out, a loser, like you're never going to amount to anything if that's all you do type of role. Whereas now that I am a mom and an adult and a working mom, I really wish I was just a mom. That'd be fantastic.
Well, and that's the problem too, is like, I think the whole job market has shifted to where it's expected for both parents to work. It's almost a necessity now.
Oh, yeah.
Where if you're not a 2-income household, you are below the poverty line in most cases. I mean, it's almost an extravagance to be able to stay at home. Like it's.
Oh yeah.
But like we decided early on that like she was going to stay at home and raise the kids because I didn't want other people raising my kids.
Right.
So I just worked extra hard to make sure that we could afford for her to stay home. And yeah, it probably cut us back a lot. Like, you know, we finally got in this big, nice house. Well, we probably could have been here a lot sooner if we had both been working, but I wouldn't trade it.
And like my husband, I'm sure he would have let me do that. He was not the one that was like, no, you're going to work. No, he would have probably been happier if I would have done that. But I felt that my only value was going to be to have a career. I didn't feel like being a mother was going to be valuable at all. So again, I don't think that's necessarily the right choice, but because of how I've viewed stay-at-home moms, which I still have a bad taste in my mouth for stay-at-home moms, if I'm being honest, only because of their complaining that really bothers me. But, and like...
Because you're doing both.
Right. Like, they'll post things like, oh, I'm a housekeeper, and I'm a doctor, and I'm a this, and I'm a cook, and all these like tasks, and I'm like, okay, add 40 hours a week on top of that outside. Like we still have to do everything you have to do. Like just because we work doesn't mean there's someone else cooking dinner. There's someone else doing laundry. I
think that goes the other way too. Is like I think a lot of times stay-at-home moms will look down on working moms. It's okay, you're not doing enough with your family or your kids. So I mean, I think it goes both ways.
Or they think that we have like housekeepers or nannies or. No, I don't have a housekeeper. If he calls me one more time, like I don't know if I should answer it.
I'm going to put him on air.
I don't know if I should answer it or not. I mean, they are home alone, but like, dude, what? Like,
as you're complaining about having to answer a phone call from your kids.
This is why I should have focused on my career.
You know what? I shouldn't have had your ass.
They're so annoying. But like a lot of people think that I have like a housekeeper, and I'm like. Absolutely not. I wish.
No, and you have 3 boys, so getting them to clean up is extra hard.
Yeah, like I pretty much do everything.
Like Sarah will actually like just go in there and start cleaning at night.
Okay, like it's calling me back to back.
Go ahead.
Well, should I call him?
No, we're done anyway.
Okay.
You good?
Yeah,
we'll wrap it
I'm
up.
Good. Freaking kids. See, they ruin everything. Don't have kids. Stay
good.
with your career.
We're at an hour.
Okay.
We're good. All right, bye.